Well, hello everybody. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you being here. It's been a few days and I'm sorry, but I've been working behind the scenes, Marina and I, on some editing things, trying to improve the channel, and we've made quite a few advancements, I believe, to hopefully bring a better presentation for you. So we shall see, beginning with this video, whether or not our efforts have succeeded. I've got so much to talk about because there's so much in the news, as you know. It's hard to keep up with it all, so we're just going to have to dive in and see what we can do. Let me go ahead and address a couple of things. You may see I've got a bloody nose. Can you see that? I was hoping the camera wouldn't pick it up, but it is picking it up. I was at work this morning, and I was stacking up these cases of cake on my cart, and one of them fell off, and I was wearing my glasses. It just crashed into my head, and it bent my glasses all up, and I got myself squared away and got it all in and finished working, and I thought no more about it. And I got home and walked through the door. Marina said, "Why is your nose all bloody?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Your nose is all bloody." And sure enough, I busted my nose wide open. Nobody told me. I can't believe it. But anyway, I'm okay. I'm no worse for the wear. It just goes with the territory. I'm fine. Okay. I don't even know where to start, so let's just dive in. And I want to start with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, because some good things are happening. There's some bad things happening, but there's some good things happening as well. And the greatest thing that is happening right now, folks, as far as I'm concerned, is that apparently President Trump and President Putin are talking. This is a wonderful thing. I'm sure that you would probably agree. We have gone so long with basically no communication between the American president and the Russian president for at least 4 years now. I mean, Biden and Putin weren't even exchanging Christmas cards or what have you. There was no communication, not with the State Department, no diplomacy, no negotiating, none of that. And now, of course, Trump and Putin, Trump says that he has been talking with President Putin, and they have scheduled a summit in Saudi Arabia coming up very soon, and they've also given mutual invitations for each to visit the host homeland, both in Russia and in the United States. This is a very good thing. This is what we have needed for so very long, as you know. Now, Trump is a mixed bag. He's doing so many things that are wonderful, but his record is not unblemished, particularly with regard to whatever influence he's caving into with regard to neocons that are still hanging on in and around his administration, because, of course, I'm thinking of his hostile rhetoric toward Persia or Iran. That needs to cease. His shipping of more arms to Israel, this needs to cease. This is not America first. So Trump, to me, is a bit of a contradiction when it comes to foreign policy right now. These are things he does not need to do. But Trump, I believe, is rather pragmatic. He is a wise man. I don't believe that Trump wants us to be on a war footing so much anymore, and that is a good thing. So while I'm put off by the arms to Israel and the hostile rhetoric toward Iran, I am cheered by the fact that he's talking with Putin. He has signaled that he wants the war in Ukraine to end, as do I, as hopefully we all do. Now, I don't want to get bogged down here. That'd be another video. But Putin is holding the cards in that little subject, folks, because, you know, I would not even involve the clown Zelensky in any talks or negotiation. He is a non-entity. As you probably know, for all intents and purposes, this is a war not between Russia and Ukraine, but between Russia and the United States, and it's just that simple. It is a proxy war. Zelensky, as far as I'm concerned, has no role to play in this whatsoever. He has nothing to offer, nothing to bring to the table. This just needs to end. I think that Trump knows this, and I don't see Zelensky playing much of a role. I'm just hoping and praying that the more that these two leaders talk, Trump and Putin, the more communication they have between them, the better, because there's a greater potential for more understanding of each other's viewpoints. If they'll just keep talking, perhaps Trump can understand things from Putin's perspective and vice versa. And Trump will understand why this all happened in the first place. So the more they talk, the better things are going to be as far as I'm concerned. But that they are simply talking and visiting with each other and having summits with each other. Folks, this is wonderful news. And perhaps Putin can somehow perhaps educate Trump as to what exactly Russia's stance is with regard to Ukraine and why Trump needs to back off of the rhetoric toward Iran. And, hopefully progress will be made. But I just can't say enough about the fact that they're talking. This is a vast improvement over what we had heretofore. So this is good news that they are talking. I could go on for that for quite some time, but I've got so much to talk about. I hope you'll just bear with me. I want to integrate the video today with some video that I've got to share with you. There's so many important things in no particular order, so let me just get to them. Let me just click them off here one by one. How many of you know of the entertainer Sheryl Crow? Sheryl Crow is an American entertainer from California. She had a big album, I think, in the 90s. What was it? The Tuesday Night Music Club or something like that. All I want to do is have some fun and all that kind of stuff. Sheryl Crow, I don't know what's happened to her. She's, I haven't heard any of her music lately. I was never big of a fan anyway, but whatever the case. Sheryl Crow is, as you might suspect, she's just another leftist living out on the left coast. Well, Sheryl Crow has been in the news in the last few days because Sheryl Crow is a former Tesla owner. Sheryl Crow owned a Tesla, but she doesn't anymore. Can you guess why? Tesla, the electric car, the EV. Sheryl Crow has sold her Tesla. Do you know why? Can you guess why? You probably can. Sheryl Crow, being a leftist, has no love lost for the inventor of the Tesla automobile, and that would be, of course, Elon Musk. Sheryl Crow doesn't appreciate what Elon Musk is doing insofar as being aligned now with the evil Donald Trump and his activities with Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, and the cutting of waste in the federal budget, if we have one, and the rooting out of unnecessary items in all of these various federal departments. Sheryl Crow doesn't like that the light of day is being shown upon fraud and waste and corruption. And to protest Elon Musk's affiliation with Donald Trump and his cutting of government money, or his moving of so many different people and entities away from the government teat, if you will. This has Sheryl Crow all upset, so she decided to sell her Tesla and donate the money to NPR. How many know what NPR is? National Public Radio. NPR is a leftist organization that is on the radio. They have leftist news hosts who present their leftist angles. It's just basically the media, a media arm of the Democratic Party is all that NPR really is, kind of like PBS. Now, I don't know where NPR stands with Elon Musk. I'm not aware of him saying that he wants to cut government funding of NPR. He may have, and I just am not aware of it. I hope he has. We need to stop funding NPR, and we need to stop funding PBS and all of these things. You know, our kids aren't going to be any dumber because the government isn't funding Sesame Street, okay? I learned my ABCs without PBS, and I never needed NPR either. You know, if NPR produced good content, they wouldn't need government funding. If you produce something that people want, be it a automobile like a Tesla or a broadcast event such as a radio show or a TV show that people want to watch or listen to, you don't need it subsidized by the taxpayers. If NPR was not subsidized by the taxpayers, I submit to you that it would not exist. You know, the liberals tried this before. They tried responding to radio hosts such as Rush Limbaugh back in the 80s or 90s. I think it was in the 90s. They tried this experiment called Air America. Does anybody remember that? They were going to create a radio network basically for Democrats, and it was called Air America, and it had hosts such as Minnesota's Al Franken. Air America was a colossal flop. You know why? Because nobody wanted to listen to it. It's as simple as that. You put your product in the marketplace, folks, and it lives or dies by the market. The consumers decide whether or not you're going to succeed with your product, and if the consumers don't want your product, then you're not going to succeed. It's as simple as that. That's business 101, is it not? Now, again, I think NPR should be cut, and I think PBS should be cut. I don't think the taxpayers should have to foot the bill for this. If NPR was worth listening to, they wouldn't need government subsidies. They wouldn't need the taxpayers footing the bill to keep them on the air. They could stand on their own if they had a good product, but they don't. And they know they don't. They need to be subsidized by the taxpayers in order to stay on the air. So Sheryl Crow says, I know what I'm going to do. Symbolism over substance, folks. I'm going to sell my Tesla that was created by the evil Elon Musk, who is associated with the evil Donald Trump. And I'm going to take that money and I'm going to donate it to NPR so that maybe they can stay on the air. By the way, if you know anything about used Teslas, you know that they ain't worth nothing. I watch a mechanic on YouTube regularly. His name is Scotty Kilmer. He's got like 8 million subscribers, and he is a master mechanic. He's got no use for electric vehicles, and he demonstrates in his videos where you can go and spend $100,000 for a brand new Tesla, but a year later, there are examples of people selling their Teslas and getting about $20,000 for them. So I doubt Sheryl Crow got a whole lot of money for her Tesla. Maybe she got 20 grand. Maybe she got 50 grand. Well, how much is 50 grand going to help NPR? How much money is it going to take? How much of Sheryl Crow's money is going to keep NPR on the air? I think it's going to take more. Anyway, watch this video. Here's Sheryl Crow giving away her Tesla and waving bye-bye to her Tesla so she can give the money to NPR. Watch this. Okay, let's move on to vaccines. I hate to say the word vaccine because that'll probably get me demonetized, but that doesn't matter. I'm not making anything on YouTube anyway. Which is why I need you to buy me a coffee, by the way. But look here. Vaccines have been with us for decades, as you know. I got vaccinated as a kid. I am not anti-vax. Now, when it came to the big C panic back in, 21, I guess it was, 2021, the government was pushing us to get jabbed. I never got jabbed. I had the big C at least 2 different times. You know what I did? I went to bed and I drank chicken broth and I stayed hydrated and I just let it run its course. Because there's no cure for the flu, folks. You just let it run its course. I was sick, but I got over it. The second time that I got it, I was able to find a physician via the internet, and I had a little consultation with her online, and she prescribed to me some ivermectin, and I took it, and I was better in no time. It's not that complicated. But just for the record, I'm not necessarily anti-vax, but I believe that kids generally can overcome their illnesses if we simply give them the opportunity to be healthy. Now, if you had a young child and you were raising that young boy or young girl today, nobody wants their kids to be sick, but folks, kids are resilient. What would you do to keep your kids healthy? I would recommend a couple of things. Number one, I would make sure that they ate a healthy diet, that I was not stuffing them full of junk food, of processed food, of Fruit Loops, and stuff that's just going to make them sicker and sicker and sicker. I would give them healthy things to eat, and I'd let them go outside and play and get dirty and skin their knees and get a lot of that good vitamin D from natural sunshine. Make sure they got vitamin A and make sure that they got all the natural things that would keep them strong and healthy, because kids will get sick, but you got to give them a head start, and you got to give them a head start by feeding them good food, real food, letting them play and get that sunshine. I'm not necessarily opposed to all vaccines, but you know, Donald Trump made a wonderful selection when he picked Bobby Kennedy as HHS Secretary. He made it, thank God. He's in office now. I am so impressed with this man. I do not agree with Bobby Kennedy, of course, on some things, I am quite sure. But I think he is in the right lane, in the right job. I think he has got the right ideas going forward with regard to the health of the American people. And Bobby Kennedy recently sat down with the great John Stossel. John Stossel's wonderful journalist, an investigative reporter who's a libertarian, and he sat down with Bobby Kennedy and he talked to him about this issue of vaccines. And I want you to listen to what what Bobby Kennedy said to John Stossel about vaccines. See if you agree with him and roll it.
All right, I would love to talk about that more, but we're low on time and I want to get to vaccines. If your kids were young now, would you give them the measles, the mumps vaccine?
No. I got measles, mumps when I was a kid. It was
lots of people used to die from those diseases.
Well, you know what? They died in the 1900s or early 1900s. There were about 10,000 Americans a year who died. In 1964, there was about 300 or 400 who died, and they were almost all severely malnourished kids, mainly from the Mississippi Delta. This was before the poverty program, so there was a lot of starving children in our country. It's very, very hard to kill a healthy child with any infectious disease, but particularly with measles. And the World Health Organization now says vitamin A is an absolute cure for measles, which we didn't know about back then. Back then, you know, we were treated with chicken soup, and it was, you know, a week at home watching Leave It to Beaver, and every kid caught it. Every single kid got it. And I had 11 brothers and sisters, and we all got it, and we were all fine. And there are lots and lots of studies out there now that show that kids who get measles as a child are much healthier when they grow up, that they're much more resistant to cancers, to atopic diseases, to allergies, and to heart disease.
All right, that was Bobby Kennedy. Wasn't that great? I mean, this guy is fantastic. Bobby Kennedy is smart. You got to hand it to this guy. He is really sharp, and he's got the right idea, and I believe he is putting us on the right track in terms of our health. Now, a couple of more things. How many of you know of the man named Clay Travis? Clay Travis is one half of the tandem that took over from the late Rush Limbaugh. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton are the two guys that took over that time slot and that radio show from Rush Limbaugh. Nobody could replace Rush Limbaugh. He was just the best at what he did. He was the greatest voice in radio since Paul Harvey, the late, great Paul Harvey. And I'm not that big of a fan of the show, to be quite honest with you. but Clay Travis is pretty sharp, more so I would say than Buck Sexton. Not to get bogged down, but Clay Travis was recently at an event. I forgot to write down the name of the event, but Clay Travis said in this clip I'm about to show you exactly what I have been saying and thinking about men who are leftists, men who are Democrats. I've been thinking this for so long, but Clay Travis perfectly enunciates what the problem is with men, or the lack thereof, in the Democratic Party. Listen to what Clay Travis has to say in this clip. Roll it.
Who is the most masculine Democrat right now in America? Mayor Pete?
Is that a gay joke?
No. Mayor Pete. No. Well, no, it's just that he's not particularly masculine. Nobody's like, oh, Mayor Pete, he's a badass. Chuck Schumer? Is anybody like, hey, Chuck Schumer holding up an avocado and a beer to talk about the Super Bowl? Is anybody like, hey, that's a dude I want to hang out with?
But Trump's like a grandpa.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Trump took a bullet in his ear and immediately stood up and said, fight, fight, fight. Every man in America and most of the women out here were impressed by that, even if the women won't admit it. She's shaking her head strong. And second part of this, basically summing it up, Democrats for men are pussies, and Republicans
Democrats for men
are pussies. There are no masculine men in the Democrat Party right now.
Was he not spot on? He says, where are the men in the Democratic Party? And folks, he's exactly right. Look at the Republican Party. We've got Stallone. We've got Chuck Norris. We got we got Donald Trump. We got all the badasses in the Republican Party now. And look at the Democratic Party. Mayor Pete, who's out on maternity leave. Pete Buttigieg. The dude, I can't even remember his name anymore. Tim Walz of Minnesota. Oh, look, the Democratic Party, they said, my Lord, we got a problem. We got Kamala Harris. We got to find a man's man to appeal to the men, because the men need somebody they can look up to, somebody who hunts and fishes, a man's man. And they go and find Tim Walz. Are you kidding me? The guy who doesn't know how to load a squirt gun? Oh, my Lord. Clay Travis says all of the Democratic men, he's right, folks. I'm sorry, but he's right. All the men in the Democratic Party are nothing but lip-wristed wet noodles. They're not men. That's what's wrong with American men today, by and large, I call it the Alan Alda, the Phil Donahue effect, because we were told essentially by people like the late Phil Donahue and Alan Alda that men had to quit being masculine. They had to be just like a woman. They had to not be who they are. They had to be lip-wristed, wet noodle, sissy men. They couldn't be men anymore. You couldn't be masculine. You couldn't be who God made you to be. You had to be just effeminate, and you had to be touchy and feely, and you had to cry, and you had to show that you could be empathetic to the plight of women. I'm going to tell you something. I think any woman, maybe not any woman, but I think most women, and you gals that are listening to me, let me know if I'm being a male chauvinist pig or if you agree with me. I believe men need to be men and women need to be women. I'm not saying I drag my wife around the house by the hair. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not Fred Flintstone. But men need to be men. Be who you are. It's okay to be masculine. It's okay to be a man. It's okay to feel, if you're married, to feel protective of your wife and your children. There's nothing wrong with that. That is, as far as I'm concerned, our God-given role to be the protector of women. I still open the door for my wife. I still esteem her. I don't think any less. She's not inferior to me. But I'm not afraid to be a man. It's okay to be a man. And that's what we're learning from people like Donald Trump and Chuck Norris. Be a man. Don't be a wimpy, wet noodle, limp-wristed sissy boy. Be a man. That's what Clay Travis is saying, and he's exactly right, folks. None of these men that I mentioned or he mentioned, Pete Buttigieg, Tim Walz, Gavin Newsom, they're never going to play to real men. No real man wants to be represented by somebody like that. You got Donald Trump flying in on Air Force One into the Daytona 500, the NASCAR race last Sunday. And I mean, the crowd, the men and women, are just coming unglued. And he gets off the jet and he does his big fist, the fight, fight, fight. I mean, that's people, the American people have wanted somebody for so long that would fight for us. And now we finally have that, and I believe that is a wonderful development. All right, one more thing before I go. I have got to bring this up because I've been sitting on this for a few days, chomping at the bit to get to this. This is mind-blowing to me, and it may be to you. You may not have heard about this because it's been more of a local story here in Alabama, but you're probably going to hear more about it if you're an American and if you're a fan of collegiate sports. I want you to listen to this article. I'm not going to read the whole article, but this is the headline that appeared on the 14th of February in AL.com. That's AL.com. That's our local fish wrapper here in Birmingham, or actually for the whole state of Alabama. This is the headline. College athletes could get tax breaks under new NIL bill. Will it boost Alabama's recruiting? Now let me explain what this means. NIL is the acronym for name, image, and likeness. This is what it means. As you know, before last season, college sports were considered amateur sports, not professional sports. And college athletes, be it football, baseball, whatever it was, basketball, they were forbidden from receiving any money for participating in their college program. Now, of course, the dirty little secret is a lot of them did get money under the table, but it was against the rules. And every now and then, the NCAA would catch these athletes getting money under the table, and they would penalize the program, or they'd take away their wins or their bowl game appearances or whatever. But there was basically a big lawsuit that was filed on behalf of college athletes that went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the gist of the argument was colleges are making money off of their athletes in merchandising. For example, they will sell jerseys and merchandise, things like this, with the player's name or image or likeness on the merchandise, and they're making buku amounts of money, but the players aren't getting any of it. And so this lawsuit went before the Supreme Court, where it said these players should be able to profit off of their name, image, and likeness, NIL. And the Supreme Court agreed. So now what you have are college athletes able to make money by playing college sports. They are ostensibly now professional athletes when you get right down to it. And now you have the great athletes. Let's say you have a quarterback that goes to the University of Alabama or Georgia or what have you. They can at least theoretically receive product endorsement revenue, or they can just receive revenue from the university itself. Some of these prime athletes, these elite athletes, some of them are getting $1 million deals, literally $1 million deals to come and throw a football at the university of whatever. That's how it is now. College athletes are getting paid to play, and they can jump from program to program. You could be the quarterback for Alabama, making $1 million a year. That's how it is now. And Georgia could come along and say, hey, we want you to come play for us next year. We'll give you $2 million a year. That's exactly what's going on. So that is the NIL, name, image, and likeness. What's happened here in the state of Alabama, and I'm mentioning this because this is going to spread to other states, I predict. I'm going to read to you a couple of paragraphs from the story. It goes like this. Alabama lawmakers have cooked up a plan to recruit more athletes to the state and win more championships by tempting top prospects with tax breaks on the money they take in for name, image, and likeness. Representative Joe Lavorne of Auburn, Alabama, introduced House Bill 240, the Competitive Edge NIL Tax Cut Act, in the Alabama House of Representatives on Tuesday. This would exempt the student athletes from paying state income tax on the money they earn through NIL deals. Listen to what he says. Quote, Joe Lavorne says, as NIL continues to change the landscape of college sports, the state must work to foster an environment that helps our schools land America's top recruits. Exempting NIL earnings from state income tax gives Alabama a competitive edge, leading to more students receiving a quality education here and more championships coming home to Alabama, unquote. Can you believe this? This bill is co-signed by two other representatives. All three representatives are, guess what? Republicans. Do you understand what I'm talking about here? College athletes can now receive money for playing college sports. Football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, gymnastics, golf. They can go to the highest bidder. Now, just as an aside, let me tell you, to the state of Alabama in particular, and it's true in several states, college football is a god. I'm not kidding you. It is iconic. College football, the University of Alabama and Auburn University in Alabama are the two premium or biggest universities. Football is everything to the sports fans of Alabama, and most of the people in Alabama are sports fans. The state is divided. Half the state is for Alabama Crimson Tide, the other half is for Auburn War Eagle, and here I am, a Georgia fan, but whatever. Football is king. College football is king in the state of Alabama, and that's true in other states as well. It is so important in Alabama that three Republican representatives are saying, in order to entice the greatest elite athletes to play in our universities, not only do we want them to have access to NIL money, but we want the NIL money to be tax exempt. Can you effing believe this? Now look, here's my feelings on the matter. I've actually got no problem with it, with one caveat. How about making the money that old Triple T earns on his cake route exempt from state income tax? That's all I'm saying. You know, Florida doesn't have a state income tax, nor does Tennessee, nor does Texas, nor does, I believe, South Dakota. There's a few states that don't have state income tax. Now, Alabama does have a state income tax. I pay 6% of my income in state income tax. But these dingbat Republican representatives are saying, well, we're going to make a special provision for college athletes because we want to get the best college football players and basketball players to come to Alabama and to come to Auburn to play sports. So we want to exempt them from state income tax. Hey, Representative Lavorne, How about me? How about every other person in Alabama who's working for a living? Are we less important than college athletes? Because that's what you're damn well saying, Representative Lavorne. My only problem with this proposal is that it is exclusive to college athletes. I think the proposal should simply say this: we are going to propose an end to the state income tax for everybody, period. That's the only way I would support this bill. Can you believe these people? The utter hypocrisy of these people. The importance they place on college athletes. It's unreal. I'm all for making the NIL tax exempt, but how about let's make all of the people in Alabama exempt from state income tax by abolishing it like Florida did, Texas did, South Dakota did, Tennessee did. Just do away with it. You know, Trump has even floated the idea of ending the income tax. Works for me. Works for me. All right, look, folks, that's what I got for you today. How about leave me a comment down below? I would love to hear what you've got to say. Make sure to give me a thumbs up on this video if you would, please, and comment down below. Share the video if you would. That'd be great. And all the relevant links are down below if you want to contact me via email, and you can buy me a coffee if you so choose. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody. This is Trailer Trash Tim, and I will see you soon.